All right, I think our next issue of business is the ad hoc Willow Road project. You had some corrections to the resolution, and you've made those. You want to tell us a little bit about it?
Are we doing that, Joe, or are we?
What's next on the
skipping.
agenda?
The mayor's, I think, would like to go to
Okay.
consideration of the resolution before the appointment.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few comments before the council discusses item 12A. First, there was a Scrivener's error. It lists wards 2 and 3 as the aldermen from wards 2 and 3 who shall be appointed to the commission. It should be wards 3 and 4. So that has already been corrected and will be added to, will be circulated to the mayor for signature should this motion be approved. Second item is, you'll note that the resolution calls for 5 members, and there are 6 appointments listed in item 7. I talked to the mayor this evening, and he did confirm that it will be 5 appointments rather than 6. So I just wanted to point out that there shouldn't be a discrepancy between what the resolution states and what how many appointments will actually occur. So with that, Joe, I'll just ask for a motion to approve 12A, and then second in discussion.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
We have a motion, we have a second, we have a roll call.
Alderman
Question
Williams?
first.
Wait,
Oh,
Sure, go ahead.
okay. If you look at the resolution, I'm glad that the issues of the, what the wards were identified in the resolution were taken care of. To me, that looked like it was a typo error. The other concern that I had was the resolution was approved for 5 members. There were 6 proposed. That's been taken care of. However, there is another issue within the resolution itself that I will point out to the council. It's in section 3. It starts with the sentence, additional staff. It's the 3rd sentence in that section. It reads, additional staff and officials may be added on an ad hoc basis at the discretion of the chairman and the city administrator. My motion is to strike that particular sentence. I look back at another committee, namely the McDonald Creek Commission, that I was involved in when it was formed. We did not have that provision in there. The way the sentence is written, and the way, well, first of all, the way the code is written is, while the mayor appoints, the council gives advice and consent to those appointments or votes them down. In this sentence that's in here, the involvement of the council is nowhere apparent. Those who are at who make appointments are the chairman and city administrator. With all due respect to Administrator Wade, he is not involved in any appointments in any other situations. So given that, I view this as a very hard and fundamental error that abrogates the rights and duties of the council for appointments. So my motion to amend this resolution is to strike that sentence from the resolution. That is a motion.
All right, let's have a second so we can discuss it.
Second.
All right. Our city attorney, any comments on that issue?
Yeah, so this is language that has been used in the past for other ad hoc committees. Frankly, I understand the alderman's perspective, and striking this language I don't think would do anything to cripple the committee moving forward. As the alderman pointed out, it removes the appointment power. It could be construed as removing the appointment power from both the council and the mayor himself, since it would be the chairman of the committee and the city administrator. So I have no problem striking it. As the alderman pointed out, there's other committees that have been formed and functioned that don't have this language. So
Further discussion or questions? Anyone? Yes, sir.
Who is the chair of the committee?
He is elected by the members.
Yeah, I don't believe the mayor, no one's been selected yet.
That's fine.
It's selected by the mayor.
So by striking that language, it defers back to mayoral appointment, council confirmation.
Correct, yep,
Okay.
yeah,
Good
exactly.
with that.
Questions? All right, so we have a motion, we have a second to strike this particular item. Roll call, please.
Alderman Ludwigson.
Aye.
Alderman Dolick.
Aye.
Alderman Rosenthal.
Aye.
Alderman Williamson.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Can we move on to
Yep.
the appointments?
Yes.
You've been aware of this, but let's get it on the record. Appointment of Tim Kupchak to the Ad hoc Willow Road Project Committee. That's number one. Number two is appointment of Dana Anderson to the Ad hoc Willow Road Project Committee. Third is appointment of Third Ward Alderman Scott Williamson to the Ad hoc Willow Road Project Committee. Fourth is the appointment of Fourth Ward Alderman Pat Ludwigson to the Ad hoc Willow Road Project Committee. Fifth and final appointment is the City Administrator Joe Wade to the Ad hoc Willow Road Project Committee. We need a motion to approve. Well, we'll discuss it right after. Let's go what we normally do, please. Motion to approve as written, and then we can always do something else during the discussion.
I would, question to the attorney, wouldn't it be proper for the motion to make a motion for purposes of discussion?
Well, it's listed as an appointment, so you can do an omnibus motion to appoint all the persons listed by the mayor, and then a second, and then there can be discussion during.
The point is there's 6 people being appointed to a 5-person board.
So is what I stated earlier, and what the mayor read out, he only read out 5. There is 6 people listed on the agenda, but the intent is to appoint only 5 people.
Which is
And he
what-
listed, and the mayor just
Skipped
listed
item C.
5. He skipped item C.
Item C?
7C was not read aloud. So there would be an omnibus for items 7A, B, D, E, and F.
So we're voting on all of them at once?
Correct.
Are we ready for discussion?
Well, I need a motion
Okay.
Okay, so moved.
Second, please.
Second.
and then
All right.
discussion.
Discussion. Who's up? Alderman Rosenthal.
When I constructed this motion, this committee, initially with the motion that was presented in December, I thought it to be a very simple thing in getting an opportunity for the community that's directly involved, or the neighborhood that is directly involved with this project. They have an opportunity to speak. They did not feel that they had an opportunity, and there was a considerable lack of trust, if you will, on the part of the neighborhood as far as the council was concerned. When I made the motion, the scope of the activity for this particular stage of the project is really to decide the issue of the scope of the project. What's it going to include? We all know that Willow Road needs help and needs to be repaired. The question really comes in with the various side streets that were in there. The motion that was approved also for the 5 members of this committee, 2 of which were supposed to come from the neighborhood. While I applaud Dana with the work he's done in the slough with the NRC, he does not, in my opinion, qualify for membership as the resolution is stated and has just been approved. He does not live in the area. He is not involved, has not been involved with the issue as it relates to the construction. And what we did ask the neighbors to do in that area is to appoint two people from their area. Two people were represented, were presented in the name of Mr. Kupchak and Mr. Columba, is that how he pronounces his name? Columba or whatever, and we are excluding one of them. So if we have to vote for all of these at once, I have a problem with it. Perhaps what we should do is vote individually.
Well, if I could, the appointments were brought in by you, by other people, request to appoint. The fact is that we had a big issue with whether we kill half the lake or three-quarters of the lake or whatever. And there were controversial, there were controversial opinions as to what we do or shouldn't do. This way, you've got a representative from the slough, you've got a representative from the lake, certainly that's living in the area, and you've got the city alderman involved, and you've got the city administrator involved. I'm not really in favor of not having someone from the slough side and not having someone from the lake side.
Okay.
I think they both belong, and I'm sure they'll do well.
May I respond, Mr. Mayor?
Sure.
I think there will come a time as we get through the construction and the maintenance and the repair, when we're at the finishing stages of the project, when we want to know how the area around the lake and the sluice would look in terms of plantings and things like that. I think there's a role for participation by the NRC in that area. Right now, our scope and the scope of the project is to really define what the project is and what it will entail. It doesn't involve anything yet for the NRC or anything like that. So the activity, at least in this initial phase of the project, for which this committee is being formed to provide the input to the council, has nothing to do with that. I see no problem in what your recommendation is going forward at the end of the project of coming in with a proposal to add a representative from the NRC to address those particular issues. Those are that in organizations or units' area of expertise, not what we're talking about now, in my opinion.
Well, if I could, you mentioned the plantings and things around the area. That's the NRC in my mind.
And I agree with you, but
Yeah.
but we're not there yet.
Well, we're not anywhere yet because the MWRD. Joe, do you want to address that?
Well, the latest status is MWRD is working out an agreement with consulting engineers, which they will present to the MWRD board. Discussion with our MWRD contact this week. We don't have a date. Initially, they thought it might have been October, November, possibly February or March. But first of all, they've got to get the agreement to present to the board, and then from that, the board, and I don't see any reason why they won't approve it, will authorize their legal staff to develop an intergovernmental agreement which crafts the scope, responsibilities, costs, things like that, which will then come to the city of Prospect Heights for review and discussion. So.
Well, I'm getting the impression that the alderman doesn't want to do anything until the MWRD gives us a plan and a plan of action.
May I respond?
Let me finish, please. I'm exactly in opposition to that. These people should meet as quickly as possible and keep a standard twice a month, once a month meeting schedule, and things will evolve. MWRD, maybe 2 years from now, I don't know. But they have to decide what they want and see if we can get it done or approved by the MWRD after we see what they want. There's things going on that can start right away. We don't have to wait. But I think it's essential that you have representation from both sides of Willow Road. That's where it is.
That's one way to look at it.
Slough is there on one side, a lake is there across the street, across the road. People should have a voice from both sides. Now, you can enlarge the committee, which in the past, the council's been not in favor of. You could make it 7, for example. But I don't want an imbalance where someone has the, let's call it the truth, someone has the upper hand because they have more votes on the board, or someone that isn't participating because they're not wanted. I think there are two groups that belong together. Yes, yes, sir.
No disrespect to your opinion. To one. But Tim Kupchak was a natural selection, okay? He's the president of the homeowners board for Hillcrest Lake. And Tim is the one who recommended Nick. Am I correct in saying that, Tim? Okay, and as I talked to Ken Syak, who I thought would be naturally another good selection for that board, he deferred to Nick, saying that, and forgive me, I know we're not friends yet, but if I can call you Nick, I couldn't think of anybody that is more affected by this than Mr. Collum. Okay, I mean, he is the guy who floods out first. So I think it's important and imperative that he be part of this board if he's willing to be a part of it. So for that reason, you know, I think that putting Dana Severson on the board is putting the cart before the horse, and that we should have somebody that isn't directly impacted by it. And then the NRC can come in and represent some of the other facets as we go further onto the project. As far as your comments about meeting immediately, I'm 100% with you. We can meet tomorrow. Okay? I don't think it needs to be put off any longer than it already has been. But I just cannot support putting Dana on there for those reasons. No disrespect to Dana, I just feel that there's somebody else that should be on there that is more affected and will be a better impact to the board. So, thank you.
Alderman Rosenthal, you had a comment?
Yes, I do. First of all, I'd like to take exception, Mr. Mayor, to your comments that I don't want to see this committee going forward. I was the one who initiated the motion. I've been putting it forward. I've been doing the talking about it. I want to see it happen. And the motion as it was described initially and proposed by me and then approved by this council this evening called for 2 people from the neighborhood of the area involved with the situation. So number one, I really take exception to your saying that. Number two, I agree 100% with Alderman Williamson in what he just said.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
quick comment. Nick, you're Nick. Do you want to serve on this board? Okay. Okay, so that, to me, I won't ask any more questions. You were listed as a person selected by by Mr. Kupchak or the Homeowners Association. And I know which house you are. You are ground zero for being affected by this, and that's how it should be. I mean, this is not about, my fear is the NRC has already, as a group, come out to say they've called this project a disaster to happen or whatever. It's not about whether the project should go forward. It's about the residents having input to what happens and how it happens. So I agree with everything they've said as far as the NRC has a place in this after it's decided the scope of the project by, by the meetings that we have, that they could be involved with it after that. So if we need, I'd like to ask the city attorney, do we just need the person that seconded the motion to unsecond the motion, and then we could restate a new motion?
It would actually be the person who made the motion to withdraw, and then withdraw their motion, then we can do line-by-line appointments if necessary.
We asked the clerk who actually made it. I don't remember.
I did. I think I made it. So can I just withdraw that motion at this time?
That's what you do.
Is
Yeah.
that what, okay, and I would officially like to withdraw that motion.
So then we would need a new motion to approve item, I'm gonna use item instead of trying to say a couple of the names. Items A, C, D, E, and F.
Correct.
Is that your motion?
That's my
Second.
motion.
Second.
We have a second.
Yep, so we have a second?
I second.
Okay.
Well, clarify the motion for a moment. I made the appointment of the people that were just noted. 6 haven't been named by either me or Alderman Ludwigson. What are we looking at?
So the motion is to appoint Tim Kupchak, Nick Colum, 3rd Ward Alderman Scott Williamson, 4th Ward Alderman Pat Ludwigson, and City Administrator Joe Wade. So that is the current motion. And if you are, and if you're mayor, they're basing it off of the agenda. If you are stating that one of those names is not somebody you're putting forward, then that clarification needs to be made.
Well, yes. I want 5 people there. I think the SLU, and I said it all already, has just as important role as the lake. They share the area, et cetera, et cetera. So what's the process for me?
So the only, what we need to know is, since you make the appointments and it's approved by the council, and there were 6 people listed, the council has selected 5 from that 6-person list. Mr. Severson is not selected, Mr. Cullum is selected. So if you're stating that you're willing to put forward the 5 people that are selected, that were just named to the committee, you can state that, and then the motion can be voted on. If one of those people that were listed is not being put forward by yourself, they can't be approved by this council yet. And the other 4 people can be approved. That's the one thing I can say too. So it's at the mayor's discretion if he wants to put forward that person.
Quickly. In that case, what you're saying is the council's rejecting one of my appointments.
Yes, because there were 6 people listed and you selected 5, and the council did not want to choose one of those 5, and they wanted the alternative to be chosen. So that is true. They are rejecting one of your appointments.
All right. And so-
But it's still your prerogative to make an appointment.
All right. So we had a motion, we had a second, we had a discussion. Do I have to now go back and say I'm only appointing 4?
I think for clarification, I think it would be helpful for you to identify of the people listed in item 7, who you wish to put forward to the council for purposes of appointment, so that the council can act on those persons.
All right, I wish to appoint 4 people, the appointment of Tim Kupchak, the appointment of Dana Severson, the appointment of 3rd Ward Alderman Scott Williamson, the appointment of 4th Ward Alderman Pat Ludwigson, and the appointment of City Administrator Joe Wade.
So that's 5. That's 5 people, and so I think an omnibus motion wouldn't be worthwhile in this instance.
I didn't mention, yes, sir.
The administrator is considered a member of the board. I think that's where we're losing it. So you've got 2 aldermen, you've got two residents, and the administrator, who is technically that 5th board member.
So you're appointing 5. You're appointing Mr. Severson and not Mr. Colon.
Right.
Okay. So those are the nominations put forward by the mayor, so the council can.
Just for clarification, Kevin.
Yeah.
These are before us. There's no explanation as to why there's 6 listed. I mean, I didn't receive an explanation that there was a potential change to the committee, to the actual setup of the committee. So when these are here, I assume that these are a selection that we as a council get to make, and they've all been appointed. The council, why would the council not be allowed to appoint somebody who's listed on a posted agenda for appointment? Or we receive their resume? I would rather hear a withdrawal of the mayor to withdraw an appointment than to tell us to only approve a certain number on here. I think that's more proper
That's
than.
the same thing.
I think that's what I was asking.
It's not the same thing. I mean, if he's gonna list the names, I'd rather hear that that person's not eligible, so that when I'm voting on this, I know that I'm voting on the list that the mayor's put forward. If he wants to remove a name from there, he should remove that name, not try and appoint him around the name. Am I wrong in that? I mean,
First step to remove the
Kevin, it's
name.
a specific, this is a list of appointments.
It is, and there was a miscommunication, I think, between what I drafted as a resolution and the number of people being put forward on the committee, and that is why there's a discrepancy.
But nobody came to us with the list of appointments to say there was discrepancy there before we took action on it. So
No,
in my opinion, when we acted on it as it was printed here, the council has the right to do that.
if the mayor doesn't withdraw, that's true, but it's the mayor's appointment, so, and he can control the agenda.
You said it right. If he wants to withdraw, he's
Right.
not gonna, he can't tell us who to vote for. If he wants to withdraw a name from
Right,
that list,
so-
then we'll vote on the list.
That's why I asked who he was nominating.
Well, I'd
which of
rather
the
hear who's
5?
being removed. He doesn't he nominates, but if he wants to remove somebody from the list of nominations, that's how we should do it.
What's the process, Counselor?
So, for the sake of clarification, once again, there are 6 names listed, Mayor, and only 5 are authorized by resolution for appointment.
Right.
Can you identify which person should be removed from consideration, if any, before the council makes votes on selections that you've made?
Well, in order to have 5, I need to take someone off this list.
Correct.
I will take off item C.
Okay. So just to clarify the record, because we've been going back and forth, the mayor is proposing to appoint A, B, D, E, and F to the committee.
I would like to ask the mayor to reconsider because your appointment of item B, I don't think is going to get approved. And then you'll have a.
Well, I don't think we voted yet, but you're probably right, but I'm not going to change anything. Thank you, though.
So we need a motion then to approve the members, so I would like to make a motion that we approve items A, D, E, and F.
So we're, point of information, are we voting on all of them, those recommended? So if we're objecting to at least to one on there,
Yeah.
we vote no on the motion, is that
I
right?
think because of the back and forth that's been going on, and just so there's clarity as to who's voting for whom, we do each individual item have a vote,
Okay.
and it's an up or down vote, so that's very clear who's being approved.
As long as we start the process that I have removed one of the members
Right.
listed here.
So item 7C won't be put up for vote. So the first will be a motion to approve item 7A, appointment of Tim Kupchak to the Ad hoc Willow Road Project Committee.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second?
Okay? Roll call.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Ludwigson.
Aye.
Alderman Williamson. Alderman Rosenthal.
Aye.
Alderman Dolick.
Aye.
Mr. Kupchak is approved.
Okay, item 7B, appointment of Dana Severson to the Ad hoc Willow Road Project Committee. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second, please.
Can I get a second, at least for discussion purposes?
Second.
Okay, discussion, if any? Okay, vote,
Made my rationale already.
okay, vote, roll call.
Alderman Williamson.
No respect to Mr. Severson, but no.
Alderman Ludwigson.
No.
Alderman Dolick.
No.
Alderman Rosenthal.
No.
Alderman Mr. Severson has been denied.
Yes. All right. Motion to approve item 7D, appointment of Third Ward Alderman Scott Williamson to the Ad hoc Willow Road Project Committee.
Roll
So
call.
moved.
Second?
We have a motion, we have a second?
Alderman Dolick,
Aye.
Alderman Rosenthal,
Aye.
Alderman Ludwigson,
Aye.
Alderman Williamson.
Aye.
All right. Motion to approve item 7E, appointment of Fourth Ward Alderman Pat Ludwigson to the Ad hoc Willow Road Project Committee.
So moved?
Second.
Roll call?
Alderman Williamson,
Aye.
Alderman Rosenthal,
Aye.
Alderman Dolick,
Aye.
Alderman Ludwigson.
Aye.
And motion to approve item 7F, appointment of City Administrator Joe Wade to the Ad hoc Willow Road Project Committee.
Second. I move that.
Second?
Roll call?
Alderman Rosenthal,
Aye.
Alderman Williamson,
Aye.
Alderman Ludwigson,
Aye.
Alderman Dolick.
Aye.
All right, so we have 4 members approved. We're waiting for the 5th approval of appointment, and I will take care of that as soon as possible.
Correct.
No. We have a name on there. Can we move,
No,
appoint that name?
no, I
I'm
haven't
asking
even,
the attorney.
No.
I haven't even, pardon me?
Who removed them? It's on the agenda.
The mayor removed him. The mayor removed him. So,
I haven't even met the man, so give me a break here.
We
So-
put them on the list. I mean,
No,
Yeah.
that's not true. I didn't
it's
expect
not
that.
true?
No, it's not. I
Would you
didn't
approve the agenda?
Okay.
Moving on.
Are you taking any comments from the audience here?
No.
Who showed up to, because we were
No,
concerned about this?
you know what you want, you got what you want.
No, we want residents that live on the streets that are gonna be affected by this. That's what we want. The number one flooding area, you just excluded the.
All right, hold on,
representative from
hold on.
the board.
Please come up, use the microphone, identify yourself, please.
My name is Richard Solberg. I live on Owen Court, and that's the only area that is flooded where there is no second way out. We are flooded, period. So there are representatives from 4 residents on the court here witnessing that you're excluding a representative from the court. So I expect that if everyone had a chance to speak, they would say that we should be represented
I agree with you, obviously.
by a court member,
Right,
resident.
council voted it down.
No, we didn't.
Yes, you did, you eliminated a member of the court.
No, we didn't.
No, we
He
didn't.
doesn't live in the area.
You elected them to.
You elected
This
him.
in lieu of the member of the court.
You removed his appointment.
The agenda.
That was the whole point, I thought. That's why we discussed this, and we didn't approve Dana Severson because he doesn't live in the area that's affected by the project. And I thought there was a consensus that we wanted someone who lived in that area, and that's why we wanted Nick. And that's why the vote went the way it did. That's my understanding.
Mr. Severson doesn't live on Hillside or Hillcrest or Owen Court. None of the roads affected by this.
And I'll add, I have nothing against Dana Severson. I know him, and as was mentioned, I think that the involvement of the NRC should come at some point. But as far as people being affected, directly affected, and who, in my opinion, should be on this committee are people who live in that area. And that's why we made the comments that we made. And so I agree with the gentleman that's at the microphone currently.
Sir, I beg you to reconsider.
You live on the court.
Yes.
The court right now has got the edge,
The edge?
meaning the 5th member hasn't been appointed yet.
Right.
But right now you have your representative from the court. I believe that's Mr. Kopchak. Is that
No,
right?
he doesn't live on the court.
Who is it?
Nick lives on the court, Tom lives on the court, I live on the court, Joe lives on the court. There's 4 of us here.
Okay.
And I think that there's no objection to having Nick from the 4 of us. But
Mr. Kupchak, do you live on the court? Okay, thank you. Just pointing out he doesn't live on the court.
Right. So you don't have your representation now, based on what we accomplished so far.
True.
So what would you like to see as the fifth member?
Well, someone from the court, anyone you choose from the court, but Nick has volunteered his time, so I don't see any problem with his nomination.
All right, we'll think about it. I will think about that. Thank you for coming up.
Are you welcome?
Anyone else, as long as you're speaking? I see some people laughing there, so come up in here and laugh. Thank you.
My name is Jim Biasi. I live at 406 Hill Court. My only objection is Dana does not live on the 3 streets that are being affected by this. And we have a person right here that lives on the street.
You're talking about Mr. Kupchak?
Yeah, no. Tim
Well, then
lives
should-
on Willow.
Then should Mr. Kupchak be eliminated and
Why?
put Nick in?
No, he's affected. His house touches the streets that are being affected by this road
Right, you
project.
said he doesn't live on court, and he's not in the way of...
But his house touches the street
Right,
on this road project that we're talking about. Dana's house does not touch any of the streets that this road project is affecting. That's all I'm telling you. Why can't we get the residents whose houses touch the streets that are going to be affected by this road project represented in this committee? I think that's all we're asking for.
well, we have 4, and I'll work on number 5. There's nothing to do right now, probably for months,
We just said that we would meet right away.
certainly. Your name?
My name is Tom Comerford. I live on Owen Court as well. I'm trying to figure out why we have a guy right here, and every single person on this side of the house right here wants him. And from what I hear, everybody there wants him, except for you.
I didn't say that, I didn't even know him. What I said was, I think there should be equal representation between the slough and the lake. There was problems when we got to the slough and what was done there.
The entire project is happening around the lake and not the slough. Willow on the east side, Hillcrest around the west, or the north and west, and Owen on the east.
I have to correct you, there is a portion of Hillside that is affected.
On Hillside?
And not to take away from what you're saying, I'm behind you here.
I mean, you had mentioned that people are laughing. We're just laughing because it's so obvious.
Mayor, all we're trying to do is fill out this board so that we could meet
All
and get
right,
these
we'll
things started.
get to that probably at the next meeting. There's 4 there right now, so that's a good start. And let's see what we can do with number 5.
They are public meetings, so you can come to it anyway.
Yes, they can come to all meetings.
You can be.
The whole place can come. Everybody from both sides of the road.
All right.
All right, moving on.
Mayor, we have a public comment item from,
Just so I'm, can we go back to that just for a second? Because I just want to make, I feel like this is a twilight zone here. I just want to make sure. When we get, for future, when we get appointments made, I mean, you said you don't know him, you made the appointment, right? The structure is that the mayor makes the appointment, the council
Advises and consents.
advises and consent. So am I to assume then that when there are appointments on here that you don't necessarily want to appoint them? Is that what you're saying? Because you removed him, in order to remove him, you had to put him there.
I didn't know he'd be on the list till tonight.
Okay.
I'm sorry?
I said they should remember this come election.
I should remember you at election time. You're the moving force for this group. And I think that's a great thing to remember. Too bad you're not running. All right, let's go.
One more item on this. As I recall, Mr. Colum had submitted to you his, I don't know if it's called a resume, but a formal written application. I saw that documentation at one point in this whole discussion. So to not know him, I don't understand how you're saying that. The information was there, it was listed, you are the individual that basically signs off on the agenda that you've told us about many times. So you had the documentation, you sign off on the agenda, and to say you don't know him, I don't know, maybe you have to go out drinking with him, that is what you're considering.
Well, that's what you might do. I don't drink, by the way. But thank you. I did not see his application. I didn't see anything because I hadn't planned on putting him on. I didn't even know he was interested in.
But he's on there.
Well,
He approved the agenda, but
I
so be
did.
it.
I did tonight, and I took umbrage with it. So what's the big deal? You're going to get another representative, you can vote him down, but read your city code. I'll do the best I can. And I thought that was kind of a nasty comment, by the way,
Oh, it was.
but wait till the election. All right, let's move on.